The Bureaucrat, a novel by Levi Sweeney, read by the author. Chapter 6, Roulette. 2 weeks after the meeting, Thomas was invited to attend a candidate forum in Edmonds. He took an Uber to get there, which he could more than afford. Thomas arrived at the candidate forum. There were a lot of local candidates there. Lisa Lionel was there too, and so were several other PCOs whom he hadn't met yet. "Hi, Thomas, great to meet you." "Hi, Lisa, thanks for inviting me to this event." "Of course. Would you like to meet some of the candidates?" Lisa introduced Thomas to mayoral candidates, city council candidates, school board candidates, and even a few state legislature candidates. As Thomas met these candidates, he thought about the politicians whom he had seen on Wolf News and CBSNL. They didn't look anything like the people Lisa was introducing him to. All the politicians he saw on TV looked perfect. But, as his father always said, perfect is fake, proficient is rare. Thought Thomas. He was wearing his glasses. Analysis enhanced. These candidates clearly don't have much money. They don't have many people to help them either. A lot of them are Republicans running against incumbent Democrats. Not many of them will win their races, but they all really care about politics and are making their city a better place. Clearly. Thomas concluded these were great people to spend time with and make friends with. Lisa then introduced him to a large, middle-aged man in a white, long-sleeve button-up shirt and jeans named Steve German. Steve was formerly of Oklahoma. He always wore a big white Stetson hat. "Hi, Steve. My name is Thomas D." "Hello, Thomas. You are a PCO?" "Yes, sir." I am a PCO, and on the KCGOP Executive Board. I am my first vice chair for the KCGOP. "What is that, sir?" "Well, we sit on other boards. We take votes, we attend meetings, we help out when needed. A lot of stuff. Unfortunately, there is no instruction manual for being a first vice chair or a PCO for that matter." "Unfortunate. How long have you been part of the party?" "For about 6 years. I've been here longer than most." "How long do people usually stay with the party?" "After every 5 years, we usually get 100% volunteer turnover. I'm a bit senior." Thomas was a statistician, educated in economics. He knew exactly what Steve meant by 100% volunteer turnover every 5 years. A little while later, Thomas sat down in a chair. He drank a Coca-Cola. Analyzing. Enhanced. Instant playback. After every 5 years, we usually get 100% volunteer turnover. Interpretation. Every 5 years, everybody who joined 5 years ago quits the party. Note. High turnover in a workplace is a sign of low pay. Possible mismanagement. Extreme stress and other red flags. Thomas wasn't sure he'd want to work for the party, but it was an unpaid volunteer position. Volunteering could be fun. His mom volunteered all the time. I think I'll call Mom on the phone later. February 2024. Thomas worked really hard at his job as a statistician at Macrozon. Around this time, he got an annual performance review, a perfect score, and a raise. Word was beginning to get around the KCGOP about Thomas D. Steve, the first vice chair, called Thomas on the phone to congratulate him on enrolling to run a great LD caucus. "Thomas," said Steve as the two talked on the phone, "you're really something else. Why don't you tell me a little bit about yourself?" "Sure, Steve," said Thomas. "What would you like to know?" "Well, what is your job?" "I'm a statistician at Macrozon." What did you study in college?" "Economics." "Well, excellent. What school did you go to, may I ask?" Thomas told him. Yes, that's a very good school. I know a lot of people who will study there, actually. Macrozon loves to hire people from that school." "Thomas, do you have any experience in politics by any chance?" "No, sir." "Really? None at all?" "None at all. I am very new to this." "Well, I know that's true. My assistant studied that resume you sent us, and your LinkedIn profile, and your public social media presence, and, well, I guess you just have a natural talent for leadership, and, well, as Lisa said at the last KCGOP Executive Board meeting, you're pretty good at bringing people together. Lisa had a great report about you at the last meeting." Thomas beamed. Steve said, "Thomas, you know that a lot of volunteers at the KCGOP, even a lot of LD chairs, are a bit tired and burnt out. Lisa is like that, and she and her husband are seriously considering retiring from the party, maybe moving to Idaho, and—" "Yes, Steve?" said Thomas. "Thomas, we might need a new chair for your LD soon. Would you like to step up for the nomination?" Thomas was elected as the new LD chair. He attended his first KCGOP Executive Board meeting by video chat the following week. All LD chairs had to attend such meetings at least once a month. "Hey guys, this is Travis, the county chair, and thank you for zooming in tonight. I know we usually meet in person at the hotel, but we couldn't get the conference room tonight. Yeah, weird. Oh well. We'll be back at the usual spot next month. Alright, Pledge of Allegiance." Chad, the political director, was on the call. He held up a teeny little American flag next to him. Travis Wood, the county chair, had a magnificent head of vibrant black hair, which he usually styled in an impressive pompadour. He wore smart people glasses. He had a very healthy, lightly tanned complexion, lots of time at the tanning salon probably. He always wore very nice, tailored suits, and a distinctive bright orange tie. Thomas D. was very quiet for most of the executive board meeting. He didn't say much, mainly because he had no opinions about the topics of conversation, and there were a lot. The first LD chair complained about their text message campaign not working. The second LD chair had serious problems about Ukraine. He didn't like Biden. The third LD chair wanted people to sign up for her biblical citizenship class. The fourth LD chair... Thomas scrunched up his brow. He thought very hard. Analyzing, extracting, loading, please wait, done. Analysis, long form. These people seem most concerned with balancing budgets, managing logistical details, discussing new volunteers, who have talent and work ethic, sitting on committees, maintaining digital infrastructure, writing a coherent party platform, making sure everyone understands the bylaws. Error. Analysis stalled. Please wait. Thomas shook his head. He slowly took off his glasses. He didn't think anyone noticed. He was very, very careful to not say the following words out loud. What are these people concerned about? Answer, problems. Their problems. Finally, it was time for the good of the order. Thomas loved that part. It was at the end. Okay, said Travis, shuffling some papers at his end. Before we close, I'll just say something for the good of the order bit of the agenda. We have a new LD chair on the call tonight. A very hard-working, talented young man, whom some of you have heard about already. Thomas Die? Thomas couldn't shut up this time. He unmuted himself immediately. Sir, it is pronounced D, not die, he said, choking out the unusual crossness that entered his voice as soon as he realized what he was doing, saying. Everyone in the video chat had heard him. Nobody said much. A few smiled, understandingly. Thomas blinked. I'm Filipino, sir. East Asian. My parents are immigrants. Oh, yeah, my bad. D? Yes, sir. Just Travis is fine. Yeah, yes, ha ha ha. Thomas D. Well, I heard about that caucus you helped run. People actually enjoyed themselves. I got some emails from people who were there. They said you were hilarious. You were good at humor. Thomas allowed himself to smile. Yes, but only when I do not tell any jokes. Steve German, the first vice chair, was in the video chat. His mic was on mute at the time, but Thomas saw him throw back his head in laughter, slapping his mini maybe. Nobody else seemed to appreciate Thomas D's earnest attempt at a one-liner. Oh, well, said Travis, blinking and smiling awkwardly. I guess you're just naturally funny. Great to meet you. Do you have anything to say right now? Thomas wasn't sure. I'm not sure, he said. Can I think for just a second? Oh, sure. Thomas thought for 4 seconds. He spoke. Yes, Travis, I have a question. Sure, go ahead. Travis, said Thomas, I'm just kind of wondering. This party is a county party, is that correct? Yes, it is. All right, so its main concern is electing local candidates, is that right? Yeah, well, yes, in principle, I think, yes. Well, have we endorsed anyone for mayor of Seattle by any chance? The primaries are coming up in about 6 months. There are more than a half a dozen candidates in the race. At least one is a moderate libertarian, another might be a fiscal conservative. We haven't written anything about it on our website. And the Democrats have written a lot. I checked. Everyone in the video chat blinked in bafflement. Steve German, the first vice chair, was stone-faced. He looked like he was nodding ever so slightly. His video feed was blurry. Travis said, yes, all of that is very true, Thomas, yes, very true, but we are a political party. The Seattle mayor's race is technically nonpartisan. We can technically endorse a candidate, if we want, but, well, we haven't really discussed it, honestly. It's not really something we find interesting right now. Thomas blinked. Once, twice, thrice. His glasses were on again. He now had many questions. He was just too smart to ask any of them in this forum. Okay, he said sweetly, just wondering. Travis nodded. He had a very nice suit on. His tie looked a little bit tight. It might have been the poor quality of the video feed, but his skin suddenly looked a little orange. Alright, it's been a long night, but, well, meeting adjourned. Thomas had the weekends off from his job. He actually did have one friend whom he liked to talk to frequently. He was a Seattle native, very savvy, very articulate, with high emotional intelligence. He was an 84-year-old man named Jack Glassman, who stood in a lonely bookstore in Pike Place Market and didn't need any money because he was independently wealthy, net worth undisclosed, and he ran that little bookstore because he loved talking to people like Thomas. The state convention was coming up in mid-April, in Spokane. Thomas had been elected as a delegate to the convention, actually, during the caucus. He knew he could skip it if he wanted, but he thought it would be irresponsible to do something like that. On a fine Saturday morning, he bought 2 black coffees at a local Starbucks, 12-ounce, walked to Pike Place from the bus station, and found Jack standing at the point-of-sale counter in his store, alone, smiling contentedly. Business was usually pretty slow. Used books are great, but there just weren't as many takers as there used to be. "No endorsement for Seattle mayor from the R's?" said Jack, sipping his coffee. Thomas sat in a plastic chair in front of the point-of-sale booth. It was comfortably and warmly lit in the store. "No, none," said Thomas. It's kind of baffling, honestly. It's like they either never thought of it or they're indifferent. I understand the logic that they only consider endorsing partisan races, but it's a pretty important election. Seattle is the biggest city in not just King County, but the whole state. It just seems strange that these ladies and gentlemen, the local representatives of a minority political party, don't think that's important. At all. Jack breathed out quietly through his nose. He had a worn, beaten copy of the Republic sitting on the surface of his point-of-sale booth next to the brand-new, high-tech, minimalist cash register. He had been voting Democrat since 1964. He'd said so when Thomas first met him a year ago. "Let's ask some questions about this, Thomas," he said. "Why do you think those ladies and gentlemen at the party are on that board?" Thomas thought for a moment. "Because they are scared," he said, sadly. Scared of what?" Of what they read in newspapers and watch on TV. Maybe they have personal problems, economic or otherwise, which they attribute to political happenings. What evidence do you have that they are scared?" Thomas shrugged. He only did that when in the company of intimates. "No real data on that, but it's just a vibe I get. They seem desperate, clingy, immature even. It's like they're all well-to-do, middle-class senior citizens with healthy families, stable jobs, good careers, but they act like children whenever I speak to them." The edges of Jack's mouth curved upward in a barely imperceptible smile. He'd been around. "How old are you, Thomas?" 28, sir. When is your birthday?" "March 2nd, 1995. Next month." "What did you do on your birthday last year?" "Well, I took the day off from work. I went to a local park, and I read a book while drinking a Coke. The weather was nice for March in Seattle. After doing that for a few hours, I went back to my apartment. My sister called me on the phone. Then later that night, I was up reading a different book, and my father called. We spoke for 30 minutes about his work, mostly, and about my work, and..." Jack was looking at him. He looked cross. Thomas shook his head. "Why do you ask, Jack?" Jack breathed out through his nose. He walked out from behind the counter, passed by Thomas, patted him on the shoulder, and inspected a book on the shelf to Thomas's left. Thomas thought the author of that book was Franz Kafka. Short story collection. "You're doing the right thing, Thomas," said Jack, his voice with a very, very slight Chicago accent. He had not been born in Seattle. He had lived there for 60 or so years. Jack nodded. "Yes, the right thing. I can tell you like these people, you empathize with them. That's good. You have compassion. I don't see much of that anymore, not sincere, not from people your age especially. Maybe it's the crowd I run with when I'm not here, but I like you. Keep doing this. You'll learn something important, something you can't get from a book. Go home and call your sister on the phone. She'll love you for it. Go." Thomas listened. This is The Bureaucrat, a novel by Levi Sweeney, read by the author. You have been listening to Chapter 6. Thank you.